Joining us to talk about the not so fun side of the snow.
Well, there'll hopefully be a lot of parents who can stay home then, so fewer people on the road.
Right.
But as we saw from Rob's live shot just a couple of minutes ago, traffic is building.
Yeah, if you are one of those adults that has the option to work from home, I would do it today because already it's looking really bad out there. And in areas where we would make the metro area. Now, the biggest problem, though, already is that it's slippery. As you're traveling along, you're forced to go slow, even if you don't want to, in order to actually stay on the roadway. You'll feel it even on highways and interstates, major thoroughways that you would typically see the plows hit first. Well, the plows have come through. You'll see them. They're out there. And by the way, be sure to stay behind them if you do get stuck traveling alongside one of them. But even though they've been out there doing some clearing, we're continuing to see the snow pile up. And then in areas where they have driven by, you're seeing some piles sort of left behind. So use some caution, especially when it's dark out there. You're not always able to see ahead of you what kind of pile you'll be driving through. This is 94 over on the east side. Doesn't really matter where you look today. Yesterday, it seemed like most of that snow was already in abundance. And as Rob said, I think some of you being smart, just trying to get out the door a little early to avoid what heavy traffic will come later. Let's talk more about our weather. I think today that definitely, especially because yesterday we really had a lot of the issues concentrated to the south side of our metro area, since that's where the snow started first. Some of you on the north side didn't experience a lot of trouble at all. But those of you traveling today, almost everyone either needs to do one of two things: either stay home if you can, or to be sure to allow some extra time. We've already had several crashes out there. One of those happened here, 212 near the junction of Wallace Road. It has been cleared away, but you can see drivers are still moving slowly. That snow is still coming down, and anywhere you look, you're seeing white. Plows have been out and around town scooping away the snow, but it keeps falling. So even in major highways like the Crosstown at Lyndale, this is where we had one of our other crashes, you see the white covering those road surfaces. I had a hard time getting traction this morning. You're not just driving through a couple inches of snow. What you're also dealing with is where the plows have been, and they're leaving some of these big piles that maybe you're not seeing very well, especially when it's dark outside. So just be very cautious this morning. You know it's going to take you quite some time to get to work today. Here's looking 94 over on the east side at White Bear Avenue, where traffic is slow going. Looks like some of you trying to get out the door early to avoid the later rush, because it's just going to get worse as more and more drivers head out. And then as that occurs, we're going to have that snow sort of packing down, and plows won't be able to as freely come and clear it away. So it's really going to be messy, and unfortunately this is scheduled to last throughout the entire morning commute. I'm also hearing MnDOT just tweeting that there's a crash on 694 near White Bear Lake, a crash 494 near Minnetonka Boulevard, and also a stalled vehicle 494 in Inver Grove Heights near that junction of 52. If you're traveling with Metro Transit this morning, same goes for you. Check your bus route. You can check it's going to be waiting longer for your bus to arrive. So we're sort of all in this together. We'll, of course, be keeping you updated on everything we can throughout the morning. Guys.
All right, thanks, Kelsey.
It's beautiful if you like the look of snow as you look into our jam cams. Light, fluffy snow coming down, but it's coming down fast, and this just isn't what you want to see on our roadways, especially during the morning rush hour. Here I'm just showing you the Crosstown at Lyndale Avenue. We did have a crash here earlier this morning, but this is a good visual of how crusty and how sort of coated those roads can get. Here's one of those ramps. Also on the main line, even on a major highway like the Crosstown, you're still seeing a lot of white. Even though the plows have been out there, hard to keep up as the snow keeps coming down. And then, of course, as the traffic continues to build, it will become even more difficult to keep up on the plowing. But they'll do their best, so be sure if you end up next to a plow, you stay behind them, give them some room to work. As a result of that weather, we're already seeing some major slowdowns, even on those interstates and highways where we haven't had any crashes. 35E at Cedar Avenue, we're seeing northbounders especially slow going, and on the southbound side, hard to even find where the concrete or that road surface actually is. Looking to 35W at 38th Street, northbound traffic, picking up the pace just a little bit. We did have a stalled vehicle, which I think started as a crash right in this area as you try and travel northbound into the Minneapolis area. Now things get a little bit more complicated if going, especially for this hour. Now if we go farther east, we actually have a closed interstate. That's 94 eastbound at Wisconsin 25. That's a result of a semi crash. The semi actually, I'm being told, ended up in a body of water. We have divers on the scene, and as a result, they are detouring drivers, so you have to make an exit a little bit early and detour around to get on 94. Also in the Northwest Metro, notice this, 94 eastbound already really backed up. Highway 10, same goes there. So anywhere you're traveling today, unlike yesterday, where we had most of the traffic concentrated on the southbound side of the south side of our metro, today it's very widespread. Guys.
All right. Thanks, Kelsey.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Fox 5 Morning News. Glad you're waking up with us today. I'm Kelsey Stowe because we have a lot to talk about. Weather is an issue, and that means we have a really awful morning commute. Difficult driving conditions pretty much anywhere you go. Yesterday, we started out with that snow falling in the south metro, so we really saw a lot of the trouble concentrated more in that south half. Today, it's widespread. Here's 394. Just even those interstates and main highways, even though plows have been out, we are still accumulating more snow, and it's slippery. We have several cars going into ditches. Check out those road surfaces. This is I-90 494, a lot of people travel this route in the morning, and as more drivers come out, we're going to be seeing some of the snow get packed down, making it more difficult for plows to clear it and making it more slippery for you if you travel along this route. So allow extra time today. If you have the option to work from home, I would recommend it today. I know a lot of people have school canceled. A lot of kids will be home, so maybe some of you will be home as well, which should at least help a little bit with the congestion out there. A crash 494 as you travel southbound at Highway 55. We have a few other crashes this morning as well, and we're going to semi went off the road and into a river in Menominee, Wisconsin, so prepare for that. You'll have to follow the detours around that scene. North side, south side, wherever you look, you're seeing some really heavy congestion coming into the metro area. Drivers taking it slow because they're coming across some of those crashes, and drivers taking it slow simply to stay on the roadway. There just isn't a lot of traction out there. There's a look at your southeast metro and to the southwest. If you're taking Metro Transit, which some of you are, and some of you actually choosing Metro Transit today more than others, so it could be crowded on those buses like Jordan-Roberg, and also some of those are delayed as well today. So be prepared. You're maybe going to be waiting out at those bus stops a little bit longer than usual, and some of those buses even being detoured. So be prepared. We're all in this together. It's going to be a slow morning rush. We'll see you back here when the Fox thing. It is a beast out there. If you have to travel around town, you could expect you're going to double, maybe triple your morning commute times. Those road surfaces, even where the plows have been, are still pretty bad. MnDOT listing almost every highway and interstate as difficult driving conditions in most areas of the state. So be prepared for that. Yesterday, it seemed we had the worst driving conditions down in the South Metro because that's where the snow started. But today, it is widespread as far as slowdowns go. 169 at Rockford Road, southbound traffic. Doing a little bit better simply because that southbound side is a little more crowded at this hour. 694 White Bear Avenue. This is one of many areas where we have had vehicles in the ditch. This one off to the side. We do have some emergency crews out there, but when it's dark out and it's snowing and it's kind of hazy, visibility isn't great. So that's another reason where you want to take it slow today. Traction not good, especially on some of those side streets where plows haven't even had time to make it yet. 35E at County Road J. This is another area where we have major slowdowns. We did have at least one crash in this area. Some of those ramps where drivers are coming down, you can hardly tell where they are because the white of those road surfaces blend in with everything else. So the visibility 15 to 20 miles per hour, and we continue at that slow pace. A little farther to the east, we have several of our spin out crashes up here in the northeast metro on 35E and 694 as I showed you in that GM cam, and a little farther east than that, even over in the Wisconsin area, still trying to clear away a crash that involved a semi truck going off the road into a body of water. Crews on the scene, including emergency divers. That's over in Menominee, Wisconsin, so it won't impact a lot of our Twin Cities commuters, but just goes to show how troublesome some of those road conditions really are. Another update coming up for you in about 20 minutes. Guys? It's true, Keith. It really is just challenging out there. Anywhere you travel, we have snow coming down. We have snow already on the road surfaces. MnDOT plows are out there trying to keep it clear, but just as quickly as they manage to clear some of it away, more starts to fall. So be prepared. Not only are people going slow because they're ending up in some surfaces that feel very slippery, but we also have a lot of incidents out there. People are taking it slow, so that is at least keeping the number of crashes at bay. We do have several out there, don't get me wrong, but sometimes on a snowy day like this, the crashes are so numerous, I have a hard time keeping track. The fact that several organizations and schools have delayed or canceled their activities today is certainly helping, I think, cut back on congestion. Right now, we're looking at the junction of 52 and 494. This is one of the areas where we had a crash. Doesn't seem too surprising when you look and see the white not really distinguished between whether it's a road surface or a ditch. And we have had several cars in the ditch. Let's go to our map and show you where some of our incidents are right now. First of all, up on the north side, you see plenty of orange and red. The red showing where we have the slowest traffic. In many cases, it's stop and go at this hour. 494 southbound, we had a crash at Highway 55 down in the Plymouth area. That has been cleared away, but the traffic still remains, and it is backed up all the way into the Albertville area. 169 and Highway 100 southbound, very slow going. Heavy traffic just made heavier on this snowy day. 394 at the junction of 94, we have a vehicle involved in an incident there, pulled over to the side of the road. 94 westbound, as you enter that Lowry Hill Tunnel, we have a crash there. We just cleared away a crash at 35W at the junction of 280. We have a crash 694 near the junction of 65, a crash Highway 36 near the junction of 35E, and up on 35E as you're traveling southbound, you're going to see some added congestion as you approach Highway 96. A little farther to the east, 694 east of 61, another crash there, and then it gets more serious as we head over to the Wisconsin side. Right now, divers are out on the scene in a body of water near 94 eastbound at Wisconsin 25, looking for the driver of a semi-truck that went off the roadway earlier this morning. So right now, 94 eastbound is still closed. So you're hearing me right. That is part of an interstate close this morning. So be prepared whether you're traveling right in the metro or heading east. It is very slow going out there, and I guess this is the way it works on a wintry weather type day. Guys?
All right. Thanks, Kelsey.
Thanks for waking up with the Fox 9 Morning News, everybody. I'm Kelsey Sobey, keeping my eye on the morning commute for you. And I can guarantee you, at times you will be moving very slowly as you make your way around town. Basically, MnDOT is saying we have difficult driving conditions, not just on the outskirts of the Twin Cities, as we often do when we have a little weather, but difficult driving conditions right here in the metro. And you can see that 94, a very commonly used interstate in the morning, especially those of you traveling between the two downtowns. Seeing the white stuff on the road surfaces, we're seeing very slow moving traffic, and the westbound side particularly slow at this hour due to a crash that happened, it looks like, just outside the Lowry Hill Tunnel. So westbounders, if you don't like tight, closed, dark spaces, I'd avoid the Lowry Hill Tunnel. It's a little slow right now. A little west of there, we still have a crash being worked on at the junction of 394 and 94. That's slowing those of you, I believe, traveling in the eastbound direction. But you can pretty much gather you'll have to add time to that morning commute no matter where you're traveling today. Highway 36, 35E junction. This is another spot where we have a crash. And notice the snow still coming down. Those road surfaces covered. Plows are trying to get out and continue to plow, but just as quickly as they've been through the area, more snow continues to come. Those side streets, you've seen MA out there, a lot of snow, a lot of it puffed up where plows have gone by and left a little piles as they cruise along. Let's see, Minnesota Public Safety tweeting, make sure you brush the snow off your hood, windshield, and roof and other parts of your car before hitting the drive this morning. Last thing you want is to decrease those visibilities any more than you already have. The good news is those of you who have found that you're so many places, not just in the central metro area where we would typically see the heavy traffic at this hour, but far south as well. Although those of you who travel through Lakeville will be happy to know that it's actually not as bad down there as it was yesterday because we had a series of issues. Basically, the snow started and was mostly concentrated on that south side for our morning rush yesterday, so that was the worst driving conditions. Looking around town, several incidents keep popping up. That's what those yellow markers are. I'll be detailing them all morning long for you, including a very serious crash involving a semi-truck in the river over on the Wisconsin side. I'll be detailing that coming up. So stay with us. The silver lining, Keith, for everybody is that some of you are staying home today, either work or school or some type of organization you had today was canceled, and that's actually decreasing the number of drivers out on the roadway. So that's helping just a little bit, but those road conditions are not good. They are poor to fair at best in the Twin Cities and other parts of the Minnesota statewide area. So 35W at Highway 280, just an example of what happens when we have conditions like this, or we still have those snow-covered roadways, plows having a hard time keeping up because the snow keeps coming down. So we have crashes, we have drivers in the ditch, we have people not able to get good traction under their tires. Make sure you're clearing off those windshields. Someone mentioned make sure semi is also clearing off the top of those trucks so we don't have blowing snow affecting other drivers' ability to see. The junction of 61 and 494, a vehicle in the ditch here. A lot of those ramps and bridge decks extra slippery, and now that there's such heavy traffic out there, a lot of that snow getting packed down, making it a little more slick and also making it harder for plows to get through and get some of that cleared away. A crash 94 at Groveland Avenue is just the latest in a series of crashes that occurred down in the crashes because the number actually hasn't been too overwhelming today, but just simply because drivers themselves are deciding, wow, I really don't have good traction, I should really take it slow. So north side, south side, wherever you look, we have issues. We still have a car in the ditch at 694 near that junction of 35E, a little farther east. Slow going on Highway 36, even from Stillwater in that westbound direction. A crash earlier at 494 and 52. Looks like that's been cleared away at this point. South side, similar to yesterday, we actually had some snow start down there yesterday first, so that's where we had the worst slowdowns. But if you're traveling east, we want you to know that there's still a partial closure 94 eastbound where a semi-truck went into the water. That is an issue over in Menominee, Wisconsin, so it won't impact the majority of you guys, but I'll keep an eye on that for you. Metro Transit, though, you're affected as well. So we're all in this together. Right now, an average delay of 5 minutes for people using the bus. Seems like no matter how you're traveling today, it's just a little bit harder than usual. We're taking a break, but stay with us. We'll be on time. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with the Fox Time Morning News. I'm Kelsey Sobey. This is a good place to start your day because it's a bit messy out there. And whether you're traveling or hanging out at home, good to know what's happening in the world of weather because it's affecting a lot of people. This is the junction 35W at Highway 280, where you can see the road surfaces are white. There's still snow coming down, and we have vehicles off the road. It's slippery. It's slow going. We do have a lot of cancellations out there, schools and work and organizations, which is actually decreasing the number of drivers actually out there. But those of you who are out there, even if you're not sitting in a big jam up, you're possibly sitting in a ditch. We're seeing a few people sharing in that same situation. Here's a look at 94 at Groveland Avenue where we finally cleared away a crash over here in the ditch. But notice if you can on your television, not only do we see a couple inches of packed snow, but at times you actually can see fluffy, significant amounts of snow as plows have been coming through. Some of the snow has been gathering into piles, and you find yourself driving along a white surface, and all of a sudden you're hitting what, my goodness, there are so many drivers out there trying to get so many places. That's not the case, because some of you are staying home. But you're forced to go slow simply to make sure you have a little traction. We have had to close a few pieces of highway and interstate out there. One of those spots is the ramp from Central Avenue northbound to 694 westbound. Slippery conditions. We've had a couple different crashes in that area, so watch for that closure. Another part of an interstate closes 94 eastbound at Wisconsin 25. So this is over in Menominee, Wisconsin. Sounds like early this morning, a semi-truck driver went off the road into a river. Divers on the scene trying to recover someone from that situation. A little closer to home, plenty of congestion between the two downtowns. If you're heading to the airport right now, the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport is subject to a ground delay program. That means we have at least an hour delay coming in, and at times you may even find that your flight is canceled. So be sure if you're doing the air travel today, you do check those statuses before heading to the airport. We're taking a quick break, but as you can see in just a few minutes.
Big old mess, and we are living in the age of the puppy thief.
Kelsey, you have had a very busy morning. We have some serious issues on the road, including there was a semi in the river.
Over in Wisconsin, started the morning off with a semi going into the river over in Menominee, Wisconsin. So we still have emergency crews on the scene of that, and actually we sent one of our photographers to go check it out as well. It's a little too far east for our metro area cameras, and hopefully won't impact a lot of you, but certainly a lot right in the Twin Cities that are slowing people down, and it's mostly just the weather. Let's give you a live look outside right now. We've had going on. People are staying home, really heeding the warnings, but those of you who are out there are finding that the conditions are just bad because the weather just isn't good. The snow keeps coming down. Even in the areas where the plows have been, we've tried to clear away some of that snow. It just keeps falling. And as we had more drivers head out, it got a little more crowded out there. It's more difficult to get those plows through. And of course, if you do see some of the plows out there, be sure to give them some room to move. Another way you can help the morning commute is you can make sure you clear off all your windows and the roofs of your vehicles as well. 169 at County Road 18, a crash here. Looks like it's got us down to just one lane of traffic. Drivers moving slowly, but not a bad idea. As I mentioned, you go slowly, you have less of a chance of getting into some trouble yourself. 94 starting to clear up a little bit. So speeds at times actually okay considering how bad the roads are today. Considered difficult by MnDOT. To put into perspective, on a normal day, conditions are good. Sometimes when we have snow, they go to fair. So to have difficult across the state or eastbound. So a stretch of the interstate actually closed at Wisconsin 25 as divers try and search for a body involved with that semi-truck crash earlier this morning. Just pointing that out, A, because it may affect you if you travel long distances, and B, just telling you how treacherous it can really be out there. We don't want people to end up in those dangerous situations. A little farther to the southeast, a couple different incidents at the junction of 494 and 52, so watch for those slippery conditions. It's just not that safe to be out there today. So if you can stay home, I would recommend it. If you want to take public transportation, just keep in mind we have some delays with that as well. Right now, the average delay is about 7 minutes, and only about half of the buses are riding on time right now. So definitely, we're all sort of in this together, whether you're a public transportation rider, a driver, or even if you're catching a flight. Right now, it looks like hour delays heading in and out of the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. So let's continue this conversation about weather with our weather expert, Keith Marler, who can tell us. Getting ready. I got so sick from being so busy all morning. I'm just kidding. It's kind of brutal out there, yes. The good news is, here's the silver lining in all of this. With all the cancellations we've been having today, a lot of people are staying home. That's certainly helping traffic conditions because I like how Matt Wells describes it. He tweets, "It is ugly but functional." So we are moving, people are getting to where they need to go, but it's not pretty. It is slippery. We're having some crashes out there, definitely. Cars ending up in the ditch, but we're making it's just very slow. 35W 280 just moments ago, we finally cleared away a crash here that's been sitting around for most of the morning. Snow still coming down, so even in areas where plows have been, we are still staying snowy because the snow keeps coming. Slippery, yes, so taking it slow, not just doing it because you're running into some jam-ups related to crashes. You're doing it so you can stay safe. 35E at Roselawn Avenue southbounders moving very slowly into downtown St. Paul. We've had enough traffic out there now where the snow that has been falling throughout the day is pretty packed down to that road surface, so it's not really going anywhere. MnDOT having a harder time clearing away some of that stuff that's a little more stuck down on to the road surface. 394 at France Avenue, you're driving to Minneapolis, see some added jam-ups now on 94 as you're coming to Minneapolis. That is why. If you're using public transportation right now, only about half of buses are making their routes on time. Several of them are detoured. The average delay is about 10 minutes, so be sure whether you are traveling by car or by bus or even by airplane. A ground delay program in effect in Minneapolis-St. Paul, so the airport seeing average an hour delays. So basically, guys, any mode of transportation being affected today. Oh, we are going back to that camera. Great. 94 57th Avenue, check Wisconsin. If you're traveling east of the metro, heading over the Wisconsin border, we are at Wisconsin 25, still blocking 94 eastbound in order to clear the scene and to investigate, rather, a scene where early this morning a semi-truck went into a river. Obviously, our driving conditions today have not been good. In fact, they're difficult in Minnesota, Wisconsin, right in the Twin Cities area, pretty much anywhere you go, and the traction so bad that several people are ending up in the ditch. In this case, it was a truck off into the river, and there were divers on the scene trying to find the person who was driving that semi-truck. So obviously, we're hoping for the best in that situation. Not looking promising, though. I'll let you know when that does reopen. 35E, though, a little closer to home here in the Twin Cities at Roseanne Avenue. We are seeing some movement, so that is a good sign. One of the bonuses of today's snow day, it was enough snow that schools and some workplaces were canceled or at least delayed. So that cut back on traffic and that cut down on the number of crashes. Right now on our map, you can still see we're moving very slowly, but I think that's more to do with the fact that people decided to take it slow because they don't have a lot of traction, more than the fact that we have so many crashes. I could still probably tell you all the areas where we had crashes today were on a normal snow day. I really start to lose track, start to get a little crazy up here. A little farther in the Northwest Metro, still some heavy congestion, but we're not seeing any crashes over there now. A little farther east, 694 in Oakdale, we had two different crashes just north of the 94 junction. A little farther to our south, we are dealing with heavy congestion pretty much anywhere around the downtowns. The crosstown and 494 still slow going if you're heading to the airport. First of all, allow extra time to get there, most definitely. Number two, check that flight status, because right now there is a ground delay program in effect for the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. There were delays of an average of about an hour, so due to the weather, a lot of those planes are just grounded for the moment. If you're using public transportation, only about half the buses are riding on time. An average delay now of 10 minutes for Metro Transit, so keep that in mind. It seems all modes of transportation are affected today. Guys?
Don't you know it?
Yeah, thanks, Kelsey.
A beast, as you said earlier, Kelsey Sobey, a beast.
Hey, and it still is at this hour, but here's the good thing. The fact that we canceled a lot of schools and organizations, that took a lot of the drivers off the roadway. So the difference between a snow of a few inches and a snow of this significance is we actually have some people staying home, which is good to do. Because if you head out, you're looking at something later, how you're traveling today, it's being affected by the snow. But again, a lot of people actually choosing to stay home is making the difference between a really bad morning commute and one that's just bad.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
So,
take the snow day if you can. Yeah. Thanks, Kelsey. All right, it is coming up on 9:04. This may come as a bit of...
On our roadways this morning, Kelsey Sobey joins us one last time.
Yeah,
with a check of how things are shaping up.
lipstick.
We're sharing the orphan lipstick. We're one big happy family.
Why is everybody sick at the same time around here?
I don't know.
Can't figure that out.
I don't know.
Let's give you a live look right now. It's now getting back on time, which is good, because earlier we had a 10-minute delay on average.
It really wasn't too bad when you consider how many cars were in the ditch and how much snow there's out there.
Well, the most intense of the snow came during the first half of the morning commute, of course, and that really caused us havoc more than anything else. The good news is that those heavy